guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is happening, man? It's Wednesday. That's right. It's 9 a.m. That means that we are live from Austin, Texas here at Syndicate headquarters for Winning on Wednesday. My name's Tony Merwin. That dude over there is the king of Facebook groups, the king of trucking insurance, the jolly ginger giant himself, Mr. Joe Camper.
Mr. Joe Camper. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're actually going to be talking about a little bit of trucking and everything that we got going on that side a little bit towards the end of this show. You guys have probably seen it, but good morning. What's up, everybody? Hi, Melissa. I see low-key. I think that might be Rob, but you're still a Facebook user. And real quick, too, I guess I'll go ahead and take that as a time to, if you haven't, real quick, it is in the description of the show. Just make sure and let StreamYard view your Facebook comments so we can get you up on the show like Mr. Brian Moore, today's guest, our fire. You are 100% correct. What's up, Hanky? How you doing, brother? Hope everybody, again, is having an amazing week. We are here for Winning on Wednesday. And obviously, you guys know, and as we kind of kick this off, we've got an action-packed show. We've got 3 special guests that are hopping on. I mean, we're talking everything, sales, marketing, scaling. So you guys are in for a treat. Make sure you have your pen and paper ready. And we've got some awesome news that we'll share with you again towards the end of the show as well. But real quick, we got to drop our weekly wins. Go ahead and drop your weekly win in the comments for us. Mr. Merwin, I've been having you kick us off for the weekly win, man. What you got this week for your win?
Man, it's this group. It's our Facebook group, to be honest with you. I'm super proud of it. I posted this in the group yesterday, but I was perusing through Facebook, totally not scrolling my timeline. I don't scroll.
I had to look it up. Because I was like, what the hell is that word, dude? Is
you
this
had to
a typo
peruse
or an
Google to
word?
find the definition of peruse. That's outstanding.
Literally.
So as the post says, right, I'm in this group, and some new person thinking about becoming an agent makes exactly that post. And she's like, hey, I'm really interested in getting into the insurance space. I want to get my license. I'm curious if anybody has some guidance on the first steps to get started. And little does she know that the group that she happens to be in is I would say, slightly unmoderated, or at least uncared about. And 80% of the people that respond were all people just trying to recruit her. Hey, inbox me for details. Hey, shoot me a friend request. Hey, I'm in your DMs right now. Like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, that poor girl is getting so confused, has no clue what to say now. And the majority of the other people were just like mocking the fact that she just opened up a recruiting hellhole in her inbox unknowingly. Right. And they and other people were like, oh, just good luck. And that was about all they could offer. And it made me cringe, but it just made me sad that the state of our industry in some ways is that.
Yeah.
That
right.
People are only thinking about themselves when they see a question of that nature. Ooh, here's some fresh meat. How can I get this person, get them in my downline and get some money out of them? And that is the old game. And I grew up in that business. I've been in this game for 20 years. I've been in that business and I hate it. And most of us that are agents, especially if you're an established agent, even if you're a new agent, let's be honest, you don't like that either, right? We're tired of being shoved into a room and treated like cattle and recruited in a masses of asses type of concept or perspective. It's bullshit. We have no place for it anymore. And as I mentioned in my post, man, our industry deserves better. I've been to conferences where people are bitching about the client onboarding experience. And this is especially true in Medicare, where the client onboarding experience and most, as far as the industry as a whole curve, sucks. And that's why Medicare is coming down on a lot of us agents, because there's too many complaints to Medicare. But we can't sit around complaining about that and not fix the original issue that's starting it. And that is the onboarding experience for agents, which in a lot of places, especially if they are brand new, thinking about getting licensed, green and wet behind the ears, their experience sucks. So I love this group because we don't tolerate that. We don't behave that way. We have great members. And the only other thing I would say to you is someone put in the, or no, I misread that post. It says Bill Seward. I thought he said, be a good steward. And that is on you as an established agent in this business, no matter what level you're at. You got to be a good steward of this business, especially you younger cats, because you are the guys that are carrying it into the next generation. So please understand that the opportunity that you have is gold, and it should be treated as such as you hand it across to that next person and introduce them to this game. Rant over.
Right. Yep. No, hey, I'm right there with you, man. I think, I was recently talking with some newer agents. And it's funny. It's through the webinars that I've been doing with our guests that we're getting ready to bring on. And it's just, there's so much of you don't know what you don't know. And so when you go and put that out there, you're looking for some type of give me some type of clarity or something. Right. And then it turns out that no, it's just absolute chaos. And it's your messengers right. You don't even have time to peruse through all of it. Right. Is that the correct way to use that word?
Yeah.
But it's like, man, but it's funny because, you're all heated up about it. And that's kind of my weekly win. And so as I'm sharing, actually, I got to give a shout out to Brian too. Lily, can you put up his 100K comment? Pivoting to the trucking stuff, working on 2 large policies that could bring in 100K in premium. I mean, if that ain't the title of the course, Brian, I don't know what is, man. So I freaking love that. Shout out to you, Brian. Man, and really shout out to your loyal, really tuning in, man. You just listen, you tap into everything, and you actually implement that. So I love that. But going back to Tony, hey, you're heated. Well, I just got my ticket. I've been procrastinating the crap out of it, but I just got my tickets and everything, and I'm going to hang out with Andy Elliott for a couple days this weekend. So we are going, I'm actually flying out there Saturday, and then we're training in the Lion's Den all day on Sunday, which is I'd never been to an event where the kind of welcome night, the 7 to 9 was Saturday night, and then training is 9 to 5 all day Sunday. It's also where I'm staying at is a casino. So I'm not flying home until Monday, just FYI, guys. But no, I'm super excited for that. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous. And he hasn't joined my Facebook group yet, which is one of the main reasons I'm going out there. Cause I'm trying to get him to start up some podcast stuff with us. And he's like, get out to this event. Right. And that kind of goes back to Cody. Hey, you got to take action. Cause I'm like, hey, if I want this guy on a podcast or to do some business together, I got to freaking fly out there, spend thousands of dollars just on the ticket alone to get in the front. But man, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of nervous, dude. Cause he just goes hard. And I'm like, we're just going through a lot of transitions and everything with this merger. And I'm like, man, if he asked me to pitch, what do I pitch him? Just how to sell insurance? Is it the recruiting side? Is it the marketing? Is it
pitch him what you know?
I'm trying. Well, I know. And that's what I'm
pitch
trying
him a
to
trucking policy.
I'm spending time this week to really kind of hone in. Hey, that if this dude calls me up on stage and has me go through, kind of just what I would call my pitch. I've just been kind of spending some extra time on that. So I'm super excited for that. I think it's I told my guys, I said, y'all, I may be a different person coming back from Andy Elliott's training. Because if any of you guys don't know Andy Elliott, he's a different type of trainer, and he goes freaking hard. And he uses a lot of foul language, but I love kind of what he preaches and who he is. So that's definitely my weekly win. Keep them coming in. I saw some more in there. And again, just shout out to Brian, man. You're just taking action, bro. Went out to a local truck stop and chopped it up with a few truckers. Great conversation. Bought them lunch and drinks. And I wanted to hit on that real quick before we bring our guest on, because even though maybe the policy wasn't sold, it goes back to something I used to talk about all the time, is that life is a commission, right? You have no idea that one, I promise you, there ain't no other insurance agents out there going to meet up with truckers at a local stop and buying them food right on their breaks or on their downtime. And so that relationship gain, Brian, is almost as valuable as the deal sold, because guess who they know? Right. And so maybe I didn't sell them in, and we all know insurance is not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
No, dude, just means not today.
That's exactly how you get in front of them, man. So shout out to you, Brian. That's awesome. And without further ado, We're talking about marketing. We're talking about sales. We're talking about generating relationships, right? Networking. And ultimately, you got to do that in order to scale your business. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Mr. David Denning, Miss Elle Denning, and Miss Trista Giancotti. What's going on, y'all?
It's a packed screen. What is up with you guys, man? How are y'all?
Doing fantastic. Super excited to be here. Always a good time hanging out with you guys. Look forward to next time we can do it in person too.
Absolutely, man. Are you y'all all just enjoying your time in Florida? Is everybody in Florida other than us?
No, I am in cold Pennsylvania where it is 18 degrees but feels like 9.
We told her to move down to Florida, so I don't know.
Okay.
It's in the 50s here in Florida, and we're a little cold. I'm wearing my vest and my scarf and my boots today. So
I'm not gonna lie, it's like 50 in Texas right now, and I got like my winter jacket out. And I'm from the Midwest too, so it's not really that cold. But then it's like, you know what? It's kind of cold.
It's a wee chilly. Awesome, man. It is great to have all you cats on the show. Most of us know Elle and Dave with Jumpstart Go and the Marketing for Insurance Agents group. But let's hear from Trista, man. Take a moment, introduce yourself to the crew, let them know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you guys said, my name is Trista. I am with Jumpstart Go. I've been with the company now for 1.5 years. So one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I am the training specialist and lead coach over there for the Closers Click. And then doing Producers Academy, which is probably my favorite thing. I'm super, super excited for that as well. So get to help people every single day with growing their agencies, sales, scripting, reviewing calls. So I started my insurance career 15 years ago, kind of like Joe, at Allstate. And so I love it. I never imagined myself here today. I can tell you that. I never thought that when I applied for the insurance job 15 years ago that I would be where I'm at today. So
never thought you would be on a podcast on the World Wide Web?
I for sure never thought that.
Well, it is great to have you.
Podcasts all the time, but Elle and David make me do them all the time.
Right on.
And Trista's a beast. She is. Like you guys, when you talk about sales and scripting, and it's funny too, because I always have to give you a shout out on this. We weren't able to do it. We were too time crunched for Thanksgiving, but just, how you work with producers. And my team is in the Producers Academy as well. Mm-hmm. And just Austin coming to me saying, hey man, we've got to do a community project, right? Or community outreach where we're going to look at trying to do turkeys. And now we're just going to do something for like Christmas. So we're trying to figure out whether we want to do meals or if we want to do like toys for tots, that type of thing. So no, shout out to you. I love your heart for not only business owners, but the people that honestly help make up the business, right? So shout out to you on that. Elle and David, give a quick little 30,000 foot overview for anybody that hasn't seen you. Elle, we'll start with you and then David, and then we'll get into it.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having us on. Tony, I could just listen to you talk forever. You have so much good insight, and I just love like the energy and that like fiery passion that you bring and speaking truth. So thank you for that. But my name is Elle Denning, and I'm a founder along with David Denning for Jumpstart Go. We run a Facebook group called Marketing for Insurance Agents. David and I come from marketing background and started with marketing, Facebook, doing websites, logo designs, videos for service-based businesses. We have a third business partner. His name is Renee. He introduced us to the awesome insurance space, and he was like, hey, insurance agents need a lot of help with marketing. Would you guys be interested in partnering on something? That was back in 2018. Since then, we have pivoted completely into serving the industry insurance only, and also have an insurance agency ourselves now. So we're excited to be here. Happy to be on with you guys as always. And I guess I can also pass it over to David, and I'm sure he has a few details he wants to flesh out there on our background as well.
He's like, thanks, Elle. You kind of said everything.
I try not to take too many of the stats, but
to be fair, I normally take all the stuff anyways. So what's mine is hers and what's hers is hers or something is what I was told. So, I think that's how marriage works. But, and we are married. We had some people ask us the other day, do you know this person? I said no, and Elle said that was a lie. So, but yeah, I mean, we love helping. I mean, our whole lives revolve around this whole industry, like yours do as well. And we love engaging with agents. I think that's a big thing about our group that we focus on as well. And I think what allowed it to grow really quickly was answering questions, providing help, giving insights versus good luck or sorry you're getting recruited by a ton of people. In fact, when we started the group, like we didn't have an agency. And we still aren't doing recruiting from a group. Like that's the whole point, is to help people, bring them in and make it a really valuable resource like you guys are doing with Syndicate. And I think that's, what people need, because you're right. They don't know what they don't know at the beginning. And that's why we created the group as a resource for them. And then we have programs we work with agents, that really want more dedicated, how do I do these things to scale and grow, especially on marketing and sales side. So we love the industry. I think it's a huge opportunity tapping into the 21st century, adding in technology, adding in this younger generation coming up and starting to take over. I really look forward to the next couple decades in this industry for sure.
So let me ask you this on the Facebook group. Was it, when you first set out to do this thing, was it okay, hey, we know we're gonna focus and market to this, right? And Renee kind of introduced you guys to that, which shout out to Renee, he's awesome. You guys really never see him on screen, but he's an awesome dude. Was it the Facebook group? Did you kind of just like, well, maybe we should like start a group to kind of run alongside this thing? Or was it like, what was the true intention of, outside of the resources and what it's obviously evolved into today? When you first got going, was it how like a lot of people get into insurance, was like, man, I kind of just like fell into it, and then man, turns out this thing grew like crazy? Or like, what was the main thing there?
I would have to say that's exactly the case. I mean, we were like, Renee, really? Like, isn't that a bunch of old people in suits knocking on doors? Like what is the insurance world? Like, what people say, you're either born into it or you fall into it. Joe, you had your dad doing it, and you were one of the only kids in the world that was like, I want to be an insurance agent when I grow up. And the rest of us were like, what's insurance or ever? Like, we spoke at a conference like a year ago for the Big I in Ohio, and they had interviewed university students across the country, and they're ranking industries versus the desirability to go into them. The only thing that ranked lower than insurance was coal mining. That was the only thing that ranked lower than insurance. And I was like, damn, there's an image problem here. There's a marketing problem here. And people don't know how great this is. And neither did we until we started the group. And I would just hop on calls. And we didn't really have a goal other than just really kind of exploring and seeing what the needs were and making some recommendations, a little bit of consulting. But it was mainly just helping and trying to get to know the industry. We're still doing projects for other industries, but we're like, man, this is such an interesting industry that needs a lot of help, a lot of like kind of moving stuff in the 21st century. And it really makes an impact. They're not selling snow cones. They're making worlds of difference to people. And so I think that was a big factor of when we started this thing up, is like, we didn't know that it was going to be what we switched the entire business to and what we really focused on and how big it was going to be. But it's just an amazing industry and really passionate about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you guys all shamelessly plug their group as well. And that's the other thing that I like about our group too, is that, hey, if there's other good groups out there, like I point people there too. And I know it goes back and forth with you guys as well. So if you haven't, go check out Marketing for Insurance Agents. They have a live Monday, they have live calls every single week, all kinds of trainings, free webinars for agents. So I always, hey, go check it out. It's a great resource for you guys. And like you heard it from them here, they ain't going to try and recruit you, right, and get you into the downline so they can make $1 off you. They really care about you. I mean, I guess so. Let's start there. And David, I'll kind of let you kick it off and then just kind of pass the torch up and down and just marketing. So the group title, right? Marketing for Insurance Agents. But we're not talking about the group, but it's Marketing for Insurance Agents. Why is the marketing that you guys coach, or even maybe kind of talk about some of the concepts or the things that you guys do or try to implement within agencies, why is that important for an insurance agent to market themselves? Like, why and it's like super broad because I want you guys to like just go super into it. But like, what is the power of marketing for an insurance agent, and why should they be doing it?
Man, you opened a whole can of worms.
Because Elle and Trista can go exactly.
But I think we purposely kept the group like name kind of focused to something all agents are interested in, but vague enough because we do take a very holistic approach to everything, right? And I think it starts with marketing, right? Like I could be the best salesperson in the world, which I'm not, and Trista puts me to shame. But if I had no one to talk to and no one to get in front of, whether it's organic or paid, like I can't sell anything, right? So I have to bring in opportunities to talk with people. And even the worst salesperson in the world, given enough opportunities or building relationships, will make sales. And so I think that's a big thing is most people coming in the industry lack the knowledge, the mentorship, or the how of like, how do I get in front of people? I really need leads, but then how do I even work those leads? Or how do I bring people in without, with a limited budget or no budget for leads? And so I think that's where a big part of everything is that we take a really holistic approach, and we very much believe in a diversified pipeline. We're very, very focused, and a big part of what we're known for is the organic marketing of how do you bring in opportunities off social media. We're strategic referral partners. So there's influence. Trista's big background on that. And I think that's allows for a lot of discussions and a lot of ways for building sustainable businesses. And I do think different people will have different focuses and strengths. Some people really love working leads, and that's great. Cool. There's ways to optimize that, and fantastic. I still think the pipeline should be diversified, but some people are like, man, I want everybody coming in organic like Joe. I just want people coming to me all the time and sending referrals to me. And, that's, I think, a really important part too, that a lot of agents just have no idea where to even start on that. So I love having the discussions. I love talking about like what you guys have talked about a bit, AI, how do I incorporate technology? And so that's really what we like to kind of talk about these topics at a high level in the group, and then really dive into like exact, strategies and help and mentorship and everything within the programs. But I'm happy to Elle and Trista kind of talk on some of that as well.
That's such a good point though, because I think a lot of people in this day and age, when they hear marketing, it's like digital marketing. And then when they hear digital marketing, it's like, I'm going to like pay for leads, right? Or Facebook ads or something like that. And I think it goes back to Brian. Dude, marketing is getting out there and buying lunch for truckers too, right? And like there's such thing as grassroots marketing, and kind of where Trista excels, right, is going out and actually creating those relationships with these referral partners and centers of influence. I love that you said that, because again, when people hear marketing, I feel like just because of how we're trained right now in all these forums and all, like it's like very narrow, right? Where you said it's a more holistic approach, because there's so many different ways to market yourself. And I guess Elle, kind of segue from that. So like the different ways that you can kind of market yourself, or just even piggyback off of what David was saying.
Yeah, I think kind of one of the things, as far as just like reflecting back from our experience in 2018 when we started the group, I almost feel like if I could rename the group again, just for like more exposure for insurance agents, it should be like leads for insurance agents. Because here's the thing that it always astounds me about this industry is that, and I don't know if, people if insurance is the very, very first business that you've ever started, like, I really don't think that agents quite understand that, like, the fact that you can go out to all of these different lead vendors and purchase a lead and have data that's delivered to you of somebody that's actually opted in for the product that you sell is incredible. Because most of the way that we started our business, and most of the businesses that we worked with prior to insurance, is like, that didn't exist. You had to go and create the opportunity. You had to learn the strategies to get somebody to opt in. And so when we first named the group Marketing for Insurance Agents, I was like, okay, so this is really going to resonate with them as far as like getting out there and marketing themselves. But as we started really learning the industry, I was like, man, everybody's just so obsessed with leads, but don't they understand that in order to create the lead, you first have to understand marketing? But the reality is you can kind of bypass understanding marketing and just get really, really good at sales if you have a trusted lead source that can deliver leads consistently, and you develop in that muscle of getting really, really good at sales. You can build an entire agency. You can build a really, really great income just that way. I think one of the things that we've really found, through the group, and one of the areas that we like to really, really help agents with is, we call it the leads hamster wheel. And I was on with Tony a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of talked about this as far as sort of the cycle that can happen, though, of just like having that, if you're just relying on leads and you feel like your commissions are sort of like getting eaten up in that lead spend, then what are some other ways we can look at diversifying your pipeline so that you can add in those organic strategies? So social media, referral partner centers of influence, which Trista is amazing at teaching the strategies of developing those referral partners so that you can consistently develop lead sources, referral sources month over month. And I think that's a big thing as far as that we've observed of just like getting started with leads and having that as an opportunity is huge, but really thinking about making your agency sustainable over time so that you're not having to pay as much in lead spend or to acquire a client, so that you are more diversified. Is something that we really like working with our clients, something that we teach our agents of, okay, let's not just be a lead junkie here and just burn through a bunch of leads. Let's look at ways that we can diversify the pipeline. And that's really where we like to help support agents, and I think give maybe almost a different perspective in the industry as well.
Yeah, what would you guys say is like the first way to get off, or like the first step? Like, I'm on the hamster wheel, I'm killing it, right? I know how to buy leads. I got a killer lead vendor. I know what my CPA is. I know what my LTV is, but I know I can do better and I want to grow, but I'm stuck on this hamster wheel. I don't know how to market myself. I don't know how to generate income outside of, I go to ABC lead vendor, buy leads. I make all these phone calls. I make sales, and I can manage that every time. What is the first thing you would advise an agent on? Here's the first thing I would do if I were you to start getting yourself off of that hamster wheel.
Trista, this one's all you, because we've all three said it. Trista's
I know what my answer is.
At creating these centers of influences and referrals. So Trista, what's one thing that you would suggest? 2 to 3 things that this is how you get off the hamster wheel, right? By going to create those centers of influence.
Yeah. So you gotta create centers of influence. And so the first thing that I teach agents is the very first thing that I did. Being at Allstate, I remember there was quotas that I had to hit. I had to do 150 phone calls a day. I had to do 10 quotes, and I had to do 2 sales. And I did not want to be behind my desk all day making 150 phone calls. Like, I needed to be out. I needed to be out into the community. I'm a person that I like to talk to people, not just on the phone, but I like to like physically touch and shake people's hands and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was really, really important for me to know my clients, not just on the phone, but to know who they were. So I went out and I began into the community. I began to do community engagement, and I began to say, okay, who are the people that are in front of my prospects? Who are the people that, this is my prospect, this is my target audience, this is who I want to be in my book of business. So who are those people that do business with them on a daily basis? And so for me, it was realtors and mortgage loan officers and things like that. But then I got creative and thought outside of the box and began to create centers of influences with people that I was building relationships. My 2 strongest centers of influence for me was my nail salon and my hair salon. And you might think like, well, how are you going to get leads from that? Well, I was getting 60 to 80 leads a month from each one of those people, from hair salons and from my nail salon. So looking anywhere between 120 to 160 free leads for me. It cost me, once a month a manicure, and it cost me once a month, a haircut. That's what it cost me.
Which
and
Trista
so
had to suffer
building
through
my centers of influence, I never went to a centers of influence mortgage loan officer, knocked on their door. I exactly had to suffer. So, but I never approached any of my centers of influence with saying, okay, I want to partner with you so that you can send me leads. That is not how we approach centers of influence. Let me just say that, because you might as well just buy a lead list if you do that. So the best way that you approach centers of influence, and I teach this, is by adding value to them. What kind of value are you going to add to them that they're going to want to partner with you? So understanding what their pain points are, finding out, talking to them. Why did they get into the industry that they're in? And so building those centers of influences, being a part of your community is super, super important. And then number 3, I would say, is just maximizing social media. This is where I always tell David and Elle, man, I wish I would have known you guys when I started the industry, because I was a secret agent on social media. And what we find is that most of the agents that come in and that we help, they're secret agents as well. And then it's interesting because when they start being more active on social media, people start recognizing, they're like, I never knew that you did insurance. Can you help me? And they're like, oh my gosh, it's real. And I'm like, yeah, you're a secret agent. Like, you don't want to be a secret agent on social media. You don't want to be a secret agent in your community. And you need to be building those relationships. So that, I would say that starts immediately to get off the lead hamster wheel.
Woo!
Yeah,
That's fire.
It's exactly what I was going to say, is start getting referrals going. Word of mouth, that's the most efficient form. So I would say that's the first step as well. Good stuff. I love the salon idea. That makes sense to me, because I guess when they're not doing nails or cutting hair, all they're doing is talking anyway, right? Word of mouth is
or the people that are, or the people getting their nails or hair done are sitting there talking to each other.
They're stuck. Right? Gotta sit there and listen.
I don't know, that I feel like that could be some awkward conversation. Like if somebody's got some like really nasty toes and be like, hey, by the way, you trying to save some money on your car insurance? No, I'm kidding.
That's when you bring up health insurance.
That's when you bring up health and life insurance. Like, man, I don't know. I think something's going on with that toe. Might go look at.
Let's get your family covered. Yeah. So yeah.
Right. That's funny. Well, so I think this is a perfect segment into scaling, right? Because I think, again, with all the resources, with the syndicate group, with the marketing for insurance agents group, hell, with YouTube and Google out there, a lot of this, we'll call it the basics, right, is out there, right? And then it's more of those paid masterminds and stuff where you really kind of get into the weeds. You have accountability, you have the coaches. That was my favorite thing about Closers Click when I joined, which was however many years ago, which is crazy to think about. But then it's the scaling. Okay, hey, I was paying for the leads, but then now the inbound has taken over the outbound to where I can kind of slow that down to the point of where maybe I just shut off the outbound entirely because I have so much coming in. Because like Trista, I've got 120 free leads coming in just from 2 centers of influence. Okay, cool. I'm not a secret agent anymore. People know what I do. I'm getting involved in my community. And then the next step, right, is, okay, hey, I'm really tired of working in the business. I really want to work on the business, right? And I'm kind of hinting at, I think, one of the pieces of how you scale, right? But David, go ahead and kick us off on that. Like, what do you think are, like, we'll say 1 to 2 things that are like, just, hey, you've got to have this in place in order to be able to scale?
Well, I mean, at the very basics, business is getting people in front of you so you can talk to them and have those conversations, and then selling those people. So if you don't have a pipeline that's consistent that you can count on, you don't have a business. You can't scale it. You can't even scale your own production, much less an entire agency or business. And then you have to be able to sell those people. So good products, a good sales process, good follow-up, as not everything happens the first phone call, although it definitely does after you talk to Trista a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's the very basics. But then after that is you got to have team. You can't scale a business solo. There is no giant solo business. And I don't care, even if they're still the main ones producing, they have a team to help out on the admin side. They have a team to help out on the, like a CSR side, on the PNC side, or they have virtual assistants like Viva helping them out and stuff like that. And so you have to have team members in order to scale. And that's where you are getting out of working in the business and working on the business. At that point of putting the team together, having them have their responsibilities, structure, communication. And I think that, obviously, I think we're all probably on the same page of like, hey, you don't start scaling an organization until you have production and like you can sell and have something there initially. We're not an MLM or ever at all. But that is how you get beyond of tapping out your time and resources, which you only have so much of, and you actually scale. So I think that's one of the biggest things is team. And I think that's the most.
What do you tell somebody? What do you tell somebody when they come to you and say, I can't afford another person?
as I say, you can't afford not to have another person, right? Because you're gonna tap out, like, you know. And yeah, and I think there are cases where, yeah, you can't afford another person because you're not at a point where you even need a person yet, because you're not maximizing your own production and time and resources. But I find a lot of cases they are at that point where it's like, okay, you just don't want to hand up control. You don't know how to bring someone on. You're scared, fear's getting to them and different stuff. But you know, when that truly is the case, then you can't afford not to hire another person, because that's keeping you, like, what if a personal lines PNC can do 20, 25,000 a month, or up to 50,000, or you start having to do commercial and stuff too. Like, how much is that costing your business by not having that person in place? Joe, you can't handle all the referrals that come in for trucking. So you have your team that you can hand those off to. Like, if you weren't able to get to a trucking policy that's ready, like, Joe, I want to do business with you now, how much is that costing you by not being able to handle that trucking?
Right. Or even like to your point on the CSR side, I don't know if you guys remember this conversation, because it was like when TCC was Closest Click had like first kicked off, and I was just freaking overwhelmed, man. I was like, guys, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then I remember when we finally, we pulled the trigger, because we couldn't afford to not afford it, even though we weren't 100% on how we were going to afford it. But moving Hanky into his full customer service like position, to where I was able to offload that. I mean, it was like night and day difference. When I hop on that call, you're like, guys, what's up with Joe? And I'm like, I can breathe, baby. Like, I mean, it was that delegation piece. I think, you know, to your point, not speaking to Hanky, because he was from the ground up. That dude was sales service. He learned it the hard way, but he's that much better for it now. But I think a lot of people have problems with delegating because they wouldn't do it like Joe would. Right. And that's why they always end up, and that's kind of that's a hamster wheel within itself, right? Is they don't want to delegate out. And there's so much power in delegation, right? And Elle, maybe you can highlight some of that stuff and just how you guys have been able to whether that's through a person, whether that's through systems, whatever that might look like. But delegation is key when scaling, right?
Yeah. And then, so one step back before the delegation is that I think when people figure out their leads or how they're generating the opportunities, and they're consistently closing deals for themselves. That's what David says. You have to have that, right, at the very beginning, before you can even think about scaling. You have to have a repeatable process that you can bring people into. What people really, I think, fail to grasp is that they need a talent acquisition funnel. Just like you acquire leads and you have a nurture process for leads, and you convert those leads into sales, you need the same type of systems in your business for recruiting and hiring. And I think people way limit their talent pool that they're even sourcing from to begin with. And so they're not able to actually bring in the best talent into their business. And I think it's a major limiting belief that people are like, oh, why would they come work for me? Or why would they come work for me on commission? And I think this is another big thing of when you're thinking, oh, well, I can't afford to hire somebody, build a compensation structure that as your business grows and you bring in more revenue into the business, that person's income and compensation also grows. Like, put a little bit of thought behind it and make sure that your organization can support, and it doesn't matter what position they're in. As your business grows, there should be some sort of bonus or compensation structure that allows them to increase their income as the revenue in the business is increased. So I think there's a lot of limiting beliefs around hiring, around building your team. And so if you're good at marketing and sales and you have those foundations in place of bringing in clients into your organizations, you have the skill set to acquire talent. You're always in marketing and sales. I learned this from a mentor years ago, and it served me very, very well. It doesn't matter if you are generating a lead and selling a lead, or you're generating an application for somebody to come into your organization and leading a team. You are always marketing and you are always selling. As a leader, as a founder, as a CEO, whatever of your business, a manager inside of your business, you are always selling your team on the vision, on the mission, on where we're going. And so learning marketing and sales will always serve you in some form or capacity. And then I think when you've got the right people and you kind of know that you have those right people, of course they need to be trained. Of course they're going to need support and mentorship and all of those things to really understand your organization and to have ownership in their roles. But the right people, I know I'm like, okay, Trista's got this. I can give her the vision. I can give her, this is where we're going, and she can fill in the gaps. Or even with David, because David and I operate in different parts of the business. I'm like, David, this is what I'm trying to do, or this is what we need to do. Like, I don't need to fill in all of the gaps for him. And I think too much people think delegation is giving a checklist to team members. But and at first, yes, you have to train people on what their jobs are and what those expectations are. But as they know what those expectations are, you shouldn't be giving checklists anymore. You should be giving visions. This is the goals, milestones. This is where we're going. And they fill in those gaps. And if the people that are on your team are not doing that after you know that you've trained and supported them, then it's time to go back to that talent acquisition funnel and find the right person, and to not be afraid of building your team in that way.
Absolutely.
What's
man.
even
good stuff.
What's really cool though is when your people start adding to the vision as well. I have to do it right now. I gotta give a shout out to Viva. So you guys see, obviously, Viva Virtual Solutions is our main sponsor for Winning on Wednesday. Shout out to Rob Lopez and just everything
Rob's
that they're
the
doing
man.
with virtual assistants. He really is, and that's to that point specifically. Lily, I'm gonna bring you on. You don't actually have to say anything because I know I'm putting you on the spot. But so Lily is our producer that we have from behind the scenes. She is through Viva, right? So Rob was, we've been able to kind of build out this little custom platform. Shout out Lily. I just got you on the show real quick, but you don't have to say anything. But her coming to us in our group chat saying, hey guys, I want to create a TikTok and do this, and this, which we hadn't even had a TikTok up and running. And it was like, that's not what I gave her. Like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking for. And then it was, hey guys, I really want to kind of revamp these thumbnails and clean up the channels and this. And I'm like, Lily, go for it. Like, it freaking looks awesome. And it was just so cool to see that, where, hey, to your point, Elle, where it's like, hey, kind of show them the ropes, but then, man, kind of let them do their thing. And that's when you've really found somebody good. That's right. Where it's like, I don't even have to tell you, right? It's more of a, that looks great. Like, honestly, next time you don't even have to ask me, because that to me it's better than what I was putting out there. So I think that's super cool. And I guess let's pivot to this. Trista, I want to ask you this, just because obviously you guys are all on a team. Because we're talking about team, and I think this is, honestly, this might be one of the biggest thing when it comes to scaling. I know the word scaling can be general, guys. That's why we're trying to break it down. Communication. Like, what is, Trista, give us a little bit on the power of communication and how vital that is to have, obviously, within the team, but then let's kind of take some of that too, and how you need to have that communication with on the client side of things as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, communication is everything. I tell people, and when it's who are scaling and they're at that point of like, okay, I need to grow, I need to add to my team. I always ask people, okay, so if you have a team, does your team know your vision? Because if they don't know your vision, then they're trying to accomplish something, and maybe you're trying to accomplish something completely different. So you have to know, or they have to know your vision. As an agency owner, when I started hiring people, I made sure they understood, hey, this is the vision of this industry. This is the vision of this business. And I never said, this is the vision of my business, because I wanted the people that worked for me to feel like it was their business as well. So I was very transparent with them. I let them see the budget. I let them see all of those things, because I wanted them to feel like it was theirs as well. But also I wanted to know what their vision was. Why are they part of my team? What is the bigger picture? What do they want to accomplish in life? And how can I help them with that? And so that was one thing. And I love that. And that was sidekick, but that was probably one of the main reasons that drew me to David and Elle, because they do that as well. They're so concerned with, what is your vision? What is your long-term vision? So that's important with a team, and to be able to grow your team so that you don't have constant turnover, because that's it's not fun to keep hiring and all of that kind of stuff. So that's important. But then with your clients and your prospects, communication is everything. So in Producers Academy, in the Closers Click, I teach agents to ask questions like, other than price, what's the most important thing to you, right? So I'm trying to find a pain point there. I'm trying to teach agents to find a pain point, because what happens is that most of the time, yes, they are conscious about price, but when you get their mind off of that, they begin to open up and share with you, well, I just want an agent that's going to return my phone calls. I want an agent that if I call, they're going to hear me. And so, and we begin to find those pain points. And another question that I ask agents, or I teach agents, is when's the last time that you've reviewed your policies with your current insurance agent? And they're like, I haven't seen my agent since, they sold me the policy, or my agent has switched 3 times and I don't even know who my agent is, right? And so you begin to find those pain points. And so if you're an agent, like, you have to have constant touch points with your clients, like touch as many touch points as possible, because at the end of the day, it is much cheaper to keep a client than it is to have to go find a brand new client. So why not really hone in and make our book and be able to service your existing book so well, so that your retention rate stays up, that you're not having to try to fill both holes. Like, I always think of there's a funnel, and the producers are constantly putting agents in, but if your service isn't doing what they're doing and patching all the holes, your people are going to go in and come right back out. So it's important to make sure that you have communication. Communication is everything. If there's a breakdown in communication, there's a breakdown in your business.
I love that. And it's kind of what Luke Akery says. It's like when people ask him, how many touch points should I be doing? Well, more than what you're doing now.
It's like, more. The answer is always more.
There's always more. There's never too many touch points.
Yes. You got to remember the 5 M's. More meetings means more money.
I like it. I like that. There you go. The 5 M's. We should do like a whole show just on the 5 M's. That's a good theme right there.
I think
Tony, you have any last second questions? I do want to take the last few minutes, guys. We've got some cool things that we wanted to share with y'all. Tony, you have maybe anything that you wanted to kind of ask them to wrap up, or to
not necessarily ask them. I kind of wanted to, I guess, support something that Elle said in regards to, before you even go to that step where you're hiring team members, you got to make sure that lead source that you have is solid and that it's duplicatable. And I think that's a huge thing. Like, if your lead source and your marketing process is not duplicatable, you're going to struggle when you bring new team members on, because what are they going to do? They either don't have any leads because your lead source isn't good enough that you can add another person right into the same funnel and just turn up the dial so that they're getting the same type of process you are. So it's duplicatable. And that comes down to really getting that process down, but also understanding your metrics, right? What is your cost per lead? What is your cost per acquisition? What is your lifetime value on that client? And then how can I budget in a person with me? Does that include me adding another team member, or my overhead is reduced, or not my overhead, but my profit is reduced because they're taking some of it up? Is that still scalable or not? And if it is, then the answer is turn up the dial and go start hiring people, 100%.
Right.
But you got to nail that piece down. I think that is hyper important. And then certainly what Trista said in regards to communication is huge. I see, and this is especially true in the Medicare space, and especially Medicare Advantage, where it's currently a little bit of the wild, wild west, where we have agents competing with these high volume call centers, and everybody is really fighting for these clients. You got to stay in front of them. You got to stay in front of them in whatever means necessary. Doesn't mean that you physically have to be there, but there's a bunch of ways to communicate with your people, whether it's through email, compliant text marketing, right? Weekly blogs, whatever it is, something you got to get in front of them. I mean, after we put a client on here at Avila, we call them 4 times we call them on the phone 4 times in the first 90 days. And if we don't get them on that phone call, then it's a text message to let them know what we were calling about, and also an email. That's just that. We email them 3 times a week just once they get into our database, right? As far as educational info about us and about Medicare and so forth. And we still lose clients occasionally, right? Nobody's going to maintain 100% retention, but it's absolutely key that you got to stay in front of them, because let's face it, you are not the only agent out there. And you got to quit pretending like my clients are, I'm phenomenal. I'm Johnny Agent. Nobody ever leaves me. They all tell them to hit the road. Like, no, some dude is calling your client and he's like, man, that guy sold you a bag of shit. Let me help you. And they're going to be like, okay. And they'll convince them, they'll flip. It happens. So don't fool yourself into thinking that that you're such a great agent, that your book is that legit and solid. Mm-hmm. Stay in front of them. Check in on them. Like during that first 90 days where we're calling them 4 times, we call them 5 times. We call them day 1, day 15, day 30, day 60, day 90. And the first couple of those phone calls are just smothering them with love. Hey, how are you? Did you get all your plan materials? Do you know how to use your plan? You need some help setting up a doctor's appointment? Is there something we can help you with in using your plan? We're here to service you. And then when we get to like that 30, 60, 90 call, now it's also about, hey, are you still doing great? Cool. Most of our clients are also doing as great as you, but we have some other shit to sell you too. Check it out. Obviously, that's not the pitch, but you understand what I'm talking about.
I love it.
I thought that was your script, Tony.
I like shit. I might
straight to the point.
Right, but you understand what I mean. So you got to stay in front of those clients. Communication is key to cross-selling and then also just retaining your book in general. 100%.
Well, and it circles us back to exactly how we started the call. Right. And Elle, you said it right. We always got to be selling. We always got to be in sales, and we always got to be in marketing. And marketing is not just to get them in the door.
Which does lead me to a question. What comes first, marketing or sales?
I would have to say marketing, right? Because you can't sell anybody if you got nobody. So, and marketing isn't just social or organic. I mean, or paid. Marketing is even just walking next door and talking to your neighbor, right? So, I mean, I think that's where it all starts, right? Everybody writes their own policy first, and then hey, let's talk to family, friends. Like, that's marketing, right? It's warm network or whoever. So you're going to suck at sales at the beginning if you've never come from sales, and then you're going to get better over time. So my opinion would be marketing, and then the sales very closely behind, because you won't be marketing for too long unless you're making some sales too.
Correct. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. At some point you had, just like you said, even just going to talk to your neighbor, right, about what you do. That's a form of marketing. It's grassroots word of mouth marketing, even though it seems so basic and it doesn't, well, I'm not spending any money to do this. It can't be marketing. No, it is, and even if it's buying leads first, that's a form of marketing so that you can start generating sales. And then once you have sales, you have money to go spend on more marketing. Yep. So, excelente. Man, thank you guys all for coming on. Real quick.
Real quick. Yeah. Real quick though. No, we got some announcements that we're dropping.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We got some announcements. So, and I'll let Elle, you can go ahead and spearhead it. But basically, everything that we've been talking about, y'all. And if you are already in TCC or TPA, put that in the comments, right? I know that we've got quite a few people that are watching that are already in the programs and in the trainings and the coaching. I can 100% attest to them because, one, I'm the first person that ever signed up for Closers Click, right? And just again, and I think some people are looking for that golden, like they're just looking, it's like the shiny object everywhere, right? But I still go back to like one of my favorite parts of Closers Click outside of the curriculum that you guys have all built out, right? And honestly, one of the things I love about what Trista's doing with Producers Academy is the accountability piece, right? We have so much stuff going on, right? And it's really, I think there's just so much power in having the right people in your corner to just kind of, again, and it's kind of probably why I'm nervous about going to see Andy Elliott, because that dude's going to like really check me, right? That's like, oh shit. But it's that accountability. And sometimes accountability can be a little bit scary, right? But at the same time, if you know that you're involved with the right people, then it's only good. It will only take you, to higher levels, right? So Elle, I'll go ahead and kind of just let you spearhead and just kind of talk about the program, and then maybe pass that to Trista, however you guys want to do that. And then Lily, as Elle and Trista are going through that, if you could please make sure and drop that link that I sent you before the show in the comments, just so that people can check out everything that we're talking about. So go for it, Elle.
Awesome. Yes, we're super pumped to be partnered with Joe on releasing a course that is everything trucking. So this is everything that you need from A to Z to add an additional 100,000 a month in production in trucking premium. And so we're super pumped, Joe, to be working with you on that. It is live. You can get into the course right now through that link. With that, you'll get access to the Producers Academy, which I will turn it over to Trista here in just a second. But Producers Academy really is Trista's like brainchild from her 15 years of experience in the insurance industry, not only building her own agency up to $3 million from scratch before she sold it, through centers of influence, and then also training her producers to also build their own centers of influence, training sales teams, helping them with their scripting, their closing, overcoming objections. Trista has even been a valuable resource on the Jumpstart Go team and training our sales team internally, leading sales teams, keeping them accountable. She's amazing, you guys. Like, it is truly an honor and a privilege to work with her. And so you two have created a dynamite bundle here between sales training and then everything trucking, from leads, sales, and carriers, market appetite, certificates of insurance, everything that you need to know for the trucking.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's all jargon. I don't actually remember what what was it again?
I know marketing, I know sales, and don't get me too much into the product specific stuff. So
well, that's I think, guys, the trucking is the kind of the one-off of that, right? I really wanted to provide some value to, hey, if you're already in trucking and trying to scale, here's everything that we're doing to really do a lot on that side of things. But also for, hey, if you're just new and wanting to get in, I've actually been having quite a few calls with folks that have never been in, or they're literally going and getting their property and casualty license to get in. That was a really cool call. And it was from the Monday call. She goes, man, I always know I need to hop on those. And then I finally hopped on and you were on there, man. And it was awesome. And we get on a call, and then now she's going to get a license and trying to get going on the trucking side, which is cool. But that's the one-off, guys. It's about 3 hours of content. Don't get me wrong, it's gold. I spent a lot of time doing it, but really the big piece is access to the Producers Academy. I wanted to just the curriculum, right? Outside of what Trista's going to kind of go through, like what they do on live calls on a weekly basis, all that stuff. The built-out curriculum is awesome too, because you instantly get to dive in. And to me, I like it because I get to see who's doing it in my organization, right? So it's like, hey, you have all this in front of you. Who's actually taking it, right? Who's taking it in? Who's like actually spending the time to learn it and all that good stuff. So I love that. And I love everything that you guys are doing with that. So Trista, I'll turn it over to you to kind of just do a little bit more of a deep dive on Producers Academy. Again, y'all, we've got that link that you can click, check it out. If you have any questions, definitely hit us up. And then I'll let Trista close this out.
Awesome. Yes. And Elle said it. Producers Academy is my baby. And I can't take all the credit. It is my baby and Elle and David's baby, because we had spent multiple meetings and multiple hours coming up with this, and going from just a dream of saying, hey, I'm seeing there's a need with our TCC members, and let's do this. And so we began dreaming and even seeing if it was possible to birthing it. I always laugh because I was pregnant at the same time with our son. Or with my son. And so I laughed that I was birthing two babies at once, which was quite painful. I'm not quite sure which one was more painful, but it was painful. But it has been such an amazing journey to be able to work with clients. We have seen so much success. The Producers Academy is sales intensive. I tell people, get ready, because it is a boot camp for sales. It is going to take you to the next level. I'm teaching one call close. We're teaching overcoming objections. On trainings, we have call reviews. We have hot seats. I don't let nobody just look down. In fact, when you're on the Zoom call, if you look down away from the camera, you're the first one that I pick to be on the hot seat. So it's challenging.
I'm here.
And there is accountability there. It's that a level of accountability to know, like, someone's going to ask you the hard questions. I was actually telling David and Al, I was like, for 2024, I'm going to be a nice coach. And they're like, no, stay the same, stay the way you are. Because I'm hard on people, not in a mean way ever. But I see greatness in people, and I want to bring that out in people.
Yes.
And so it's intense of training, curriculum, call reviews, coaching, feedback, all of that. But it is, I tell people this: if you stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to grow. In fact, if you stay in your comfort zone, you're going to eventually die. But it's when you step out of your comfort zone, that's when growth happens. That's when change happens. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. But the more uncomfortable you are, the more growth you are. So, this is an opportunity. If you're thinking like, man, how can I get to the next level? This is the same things that I taught my producers and grew my agency to a $3 million book of business in a very short amount of time before selling it. And so I don't hold back. I don't keep secrets and say, okay, I'm going to just tell you a little bit. I probably give way too much information, but it is important. And we have seen, I'll share with you just a massive win that we had this week. One of our Producers Academy, I've been working with her for the entire year of 2023. Her goal was to make 6 figures, deposit it into her bank account. And Elle and David will testify that when we met her in December of last year in Miami, Elle asked her questions about goals, and she started crying because she didn't even have goals. She didn't even we always tease now. I'm like, I don't think you understood how to spell the word goal at that point, because she just didn't. She just woke up and flew by the seat of the pants. When I began working with her, setting goals, setting metrics, key performance indicators to know where she was at, she this week sent me a text message on Monday. $106,000 has officially been dropped into her bank account over the year through doing Producers Academy, doubling her sales, taking all that. And she's like, I could have never done it without David, and without you, Trista. And so that is the testament of Producers Academy. And I want to shout out Brian too, because he's on here and I get to work with him in the Producers Academy. And so it's been such a joy, Brian. So shout out to you as well. And he's had many wins and successes as well. So.
And I want to piggyback on that real quick, because I know Joe talked briefly about everything trucking that he's built out for this. But I feel like he could have talked a little bit more. I mean, Joe is a commercial trucking master, guys. I mean, I don't think anybody out there knows that industry better than him, lives and breathes it, has ridden it, knows inside baseball. And that's what he put into this for you guys. If you guys are already doing it and want to do more, like much more, or you guys are looking to get into this to start adding significant amounts of premium from that side, like Joe thought about the title for that. Or the hook for that. And Brian is like proof right here. Like, hey, I've got a couple policies already. It looks like maybe adding 100,000 in premium in a month. And that's exactly the title that Joe put together for it. And, he's not joking. And so I just really want to highlight that, because anybody who's been around Joe knows how awesome Joe is, knows that he's the man when it comes to commercial trucking. And so that's why we went Joe, like, Joe, people need to know this. People, can you please put something together? And Joe's been like, I've been meaning to do that anyways. So yeah, let's put that together so I can share this.
I'll tell you, and that's it too, man. It's like when you get about 25 minutes in and you're trying to shoot 45 minutes of pre-recorded content, and then you just start, I was a little bit sick like the day, and I started hacking up a lung. I'm like, damn it, dude, I got to reshoot this whole freaking video, dude. I was like, it was so good. Or it's like I messed up one little thing. I'm like, damn, I got to freaking redo all of that. So that's a testament to y'all, because I know your guys' curriculum is super built out compared to my training modules. But thank you for the shout out. And it really is. I think the education piece of that, right? Because I think that's what holds up a lot of people, or it's what burns a lot of people, because they'll get in and chase premium and they have no business doing that. I mean, we had Jerry Conwell. Shout out to Jerry if you're catching this replay. I mean, the guy's been in the trucking space for 28 years, right? So, I mean, it's hit me and him sitting down for like almost 2 hours and just really going through, well, it's like an hour and a half, like just going through, here is what it is, right? Like, and I think that's just so important. That within itself is probably worth the price point. So awesome. Well, y'all, let's go ahead. I know we've been running long. Thank you to everybody that stayed in and tuned in with us. We appreciate y'all. It's been an amazing show. David L., real quick, how can they reach out to you? And then Tony, you go ahead and close us out, my man.
As always, Market for Insurance Agents Group. I mean, that's a great place to come connect and hopefully get some great value. Joe's hanging out there as well, and obviously Syndicate's amazing. And so the group's a great place. And then, I mean, maybe not Elle, but I read all my Facebook messages and reply and answer. So
I read all my messages.
yeah. If you definitely want a response and quicker, shoot me a message.
Ouch, David.
She peruses them.
I peruse my messages.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I know.
But no, for real though, we're always looking to help. I don't care if I can answer a question. I can connect with an awesome, amazing resource like Joe. That's what I love doing in any way that I can help or be of service. So shoot a message, even if you just want to say hi. And I absolutely love talking to people, meeting new people, as I know Joe the socialite does as well. So just shoot a message, and happy to chat. And if there's anything I help with, happy to do so.
Absolutely, man. Great to have all of you guys on. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Right. Thanks for coming in here, providing value. Trista, it was a pleasure getting to meet you virtually for the first time. But thank you again. Thank all of you guys for tuning in out there in the world of members with Insurance Syndicate, man. We appreciate all of you guys. And again, just to reiterate the post I made yesterday, thank you for being that group. Thank you for being that group that is willing to support, willing to be transparent, willing to collaborate, willing to share, and not willing to be assholes. Thank you.
Yes.
We are here every Wednesday live at 9 a.m. That's the way we do it. We're going to be back next Wednesday. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see y'all then on Winning on Wednesday.
Let's go. Peak of the week, y'all. Let's keep it up.
Bye, everyone.
Right? Put some fire on the gas. And here's my thing that I got from this. Well, I got a lot, but don't be a secret agent. Get out there, be a part of your community. Let people know what you do. Stop being a secret agent, right? People do business with people. We appreciate y'all. Hope everybody has an amazing rest of your week. Thank you, Elle. Thank you, David. Thank you, Trista.
Thank
See you
you
guys
guys
later.